So you want to learn Excel, finally. Very good decision. You know, actually 80% of data, despite the AI, ChatGPT and all that stuff, is still run in Excel. So if you want to jump to a better career, for example in data analytics, you have to start with Excel. There's no skipping this tool. And today I'm gonna make it super easy for you to start this journey. We're gonna head off to Excel in a moment, where you will learn the most important functions that will be a base for you to actually understand how Excel works very quickly. So if you're thinking about a course, if you're thinking about, I don't know, some sort of a webinar, whatever, start with this video first, because probably it will save you a ton of money with a material that you can go in just one free YouTube video. Let's head over to Excel. Okay, I'm looking at my Excel workbook. You can see I have some sort of a report, basic stuff that you will find very often in different places, in different companies. I have some purchase orders, some company IDs, dates, amounts, sales, those sort of stuff, and you want to do a report. This is the thing that you normally want to do in Excel. You probably will start by doing some kind of a report. And we got 6 functions to cover, actually 7, but we're gonna count 6. So sum, count, min, max, we're gonna count it as 1, count a, if, and sum ifs. Those 6 functions are actually enough for you to understand how Excel works. Let's start with the very first one. So let's start with the sum. We want to know the overall sales we have. Yeah, we have some sort of a table. It's actually range, technically speaking, but let's not bother ourselves with that for now. We want to get the sum. So how do I write any formula, any function? I go to a cell, you can see I'm in this cell right now, equals, and I start typing sum. This is what I have, okay? I have a sum, we're gonna calculate a sum. Great. Open up parentheses, and then we need to put some numbers in. You could of course do like, okay, this number, and then this number, and then we'll add this number, and so on. But what you can do is actually select a whole set of numbers. We call that range. We're gonna select a whole range, and this will be how we are going to calculate pretty much everything, because it's super easy and much more efficient. So how we're gonna do with all this range stuff? We're gonna click the first cell and we're gonna drag our mouse. No, of course we're not gonna drag our mouse. From the very beginning, we want to learn shortcuts. So we're gonna click that cell, we're gonna go Control-Shift down arrow. That will select the whole range. You can see now we've selected cells from F2 to F1000 something. We're gonna close the parentheses, and if we scroll up, you can see we have our overall sales. And that's it. You just learned your first function in Excel, and we are way under 5 minutes. Okay, so we have that. Let's mark that as green. Now, we don't always need to sum things. Sometimes we just want to know the amount, you know, the total amount in terms of how many things are there. So we just want to count them. We simply want to count them. We want to count the amount of purchase orders. And there's an important thing. There's an important thing in Excel where, for Excel, something is either a number or is not a number. That's the very first distinction you want to make. And counting, the count function is for the numbers. So I have a purchase order ID. I know for a fact that this is a number. If you want to count something that is a number, you will use the count function. So again, very similar. Equals count. Again, we're gonna go into the cell, Control-Shift down, close parentheses, enter. And there we have it. We have the amount of orders. We have the how many orders were there. Now we go to min and max. So min and max, it's probably obvious for you, which will tell you the maximum or the minimum value. That's sort of a no-brainer, okay? So if I'm gonna type in here max, and let's say that we just want to go for for the number here. So I'm gonna go with the sales. I'm gonna select those two. Yeah. Out of those two, 526 is the higher one. But we don't want that. We want to know the first PO. So we have a date. And in Excel, and this is also an important concept for you to understand. Remember how I said a moment ago that in Excel, the very basic distinction is something a number or not? This again is how Excel treats dates. So if I'm looking on a date, it can be formatted as a date, but if I format it as a number, you can see a number there. Why? Because Excel said like this, okay, if we're gonna go with a 0 and we're gonna turn a 0 into a date, you can see that's the first date we will ever hold. And since that date, of course, it's an arbitrary, it's the 0th of January. If we're gonna change that to a 1, then it's going to be a 1st of January. And this is how Excel counts the dates. It simply counts the amount of days that passed since the first arbitrary date. And this is how Excel knows that this is a number, this is a number, this is a number, this is a number. And this is how we can use the min and max on the dates, because it will actually find the number that is the highest or the lowest. So we want our first PO. So what are we going to use? We're going to use obviously the min. Again, selecting everything with a shortcut, closing the parentheses. And here we go. We have the first PO, but what happened? Here we have dollars. You saw just before that I switched from the date to a number with this formatting stuff. What is this formatting stuff? So again, for Excel, everything is either a number or is not a number. So if I go to here, to this tab, I'm in Home tab, you'll find this here, a way to quickly format stuff. So you can see now that I am in accounting because, we did some accounting before. We did the overall sales. Excel picked up, okay, maybe it's again some amount of dollars. No. This time we want the date. Very simple. We just changed the formatting, but it's the same number. So you can see now it's a date, now it's a number, and now it's a date again. And this is how you can calculate the first or the last date or any highest or lowest number. Okay, great, we can mark that green as well. We want to use count A. Remember how I told you we're gonna use the count to count the amount of the numbers we have? What if we want to count something that is not a number? Well, we want to use the other counter, the count A, which will simply count the cells that are filled. So this is a cell, this is a cell, this is a cell. This cell is filled, obviously. This cell is also filled, obviously. And we want to know how many addresses are filled. So perhaps there are some addresses that are not filled. Let's find out. If we're gonna go here and I'm gonna type equals and I'm gonna type count A, and again let's try to select everything, Control Shift down. You can see now I am at 3,000 mark. Do you remember I had 5,000 POs, probably 5,000 records? Yeah, if I scroll with the mouse down, you can see, oops, I have some blank area here. So very good, because if I do again Control Shift down and again Control Shift down, now I'm having everything in. I'm going to close the parentheses, hit enter, and now I can see that the addresses filled are only 5,000 because nine of those cells that we have selected have nothing in it. And now the neat trick. So you remember this number, 5,000, yeah? Okay, and obviously if I delete Kentucky here, we're gonna have 4,999. But, what if I go into this cell and type an A? Yeah, obviously we have 5,000 again. But what if I delete the A? So again, we have one more missing. And I go here and I'm gonna type a space. What? So this cell is filled. How is this filled? There's nothing here. No, it is. So remember, this is a trick that somebody can pull on you, or you can pull it on somebody. A space is a character. If I put, spaces here, I'm actually filling this cell with spaces. So if you're looking at empty looking cells, but count A is telling you that something is there, those are probably spaces. Now, the tricky question. You probably know the answer. All addresses are filled. Are they all addresses filled? No, we just saw they are not. But what if, we want to do it intelligently? What if we want to do it using a function? How will we do this? We will do this with the most basic function in Excel called if. So, how does it work? I'm going to type in if, open a parenthesis, and I know it looks scary in the beginning, but it's very simple. You just have to do a test, a logical test. So something that resolves in a true or false. So something is either true or it is false. So here, the test simply is this number equal to this number? Which means if we have an address for all the POs, then all the addresses are filled. If not, then not really. So if now we go to the second and third argument, we can say, okay, are all addresses filled? If it's true, then we can respond with yes. If it's false, then we're gonna say no. And pay attention, I'm using double quotes here because I'm typing in a text. If I would be using a number, I wouldn't use double quote, I'll just line 1. So again, we're gonna do a no. And now closing the parentheses. And that's it. And we have it. And now you've learned the most basic function. So what can you do now? You can do a sum, you can deal with a table, you can check an if statement if something is true or not. So we can select that green as well. And look how far we are. Below 15 minutes. You already know 5, 6 basic functions in Excel. You can already deal with dates, with formatting. If you take a course, it will probably take an hour for somebody to tell you all that, and you'd pay, I don't know, some bucks for that knowledge. You don't need to pay for that knowledge. We want to learn the SUMIFS function because what if we would like to join the possibilities of, counting something, summing something, averaging something with a condition, so an if function. And here we're going to do exactly that. So we want to know what is the total sales that a company made. So here we have a company ID, we have different IDs, and we want to know what is the total sales that this company made. And let's find it out. How are we going to find it out? We're going to use the SUMIFS function. So SUMIFS and sum range. So this is the first thing we're going to fill out. So again, probably, the sales, so and the whole range. So we're going to look actually at all of the sales. So, okay, Control Shift down. Great. Before I go forward, you can see that the space where the formula will go is empty because, let me just go all the way to the up. You can see, I don't want to just, just fill this formula for this record, for this company. No, I actually want to fill it for all of the records. So not like here where we just put the formula in one specific cell. We want to actually put this formula to the table as a new column. We need this formula to work here, but also here and here and here. And in order to do that, we need to block references. We need to block this range so that when we're going to pull down the formula, this range, the range that we are checking it, stays in the same way. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that by pressing the F4 button, which puts the $sign before the column and row. And this means that if I'm going to pull that, it won't change. I know it's complicated, but stay with me because it's going to get very simple in a moment. Criteria range. Obviously, we want to check all the companies. So again, I click here, Control Shift down, and again, I'm using this F4. You can of course type in $, but pressing just F4 makes it super fast. So this we also don't want to change. What do we want to change actually, as we will be pulling down this formula? We will be checking the company ID. Now we can close the parentheses because we have only one condition here, but you can see that I filled just criteria range 1 and criteria 1. We could add multiple criteria here, but for this example, let's just settle on one criteria. I'm going to close the parentheses. And now I have the total sales for this company. Now look, if I'm going to pull down this cell with this crosshair right now, with the left mouse button clicked, you can see that the only thing that changed in the formula is this. So the last thing, so the B2 changed to B3. Everything else stayed the same. Why? Because we used the dollar sign. This is what the dollar sign does for you. And why we did that? Because if I go here and I see again this crosshair, I can double click with the mouse and it will fill the formula for us for the entire table. Or technically speaking, the entire range. You can see it's always there. And the cool thing is that if I have, a company 166, it will always have this total company sales, because again, we're looking through this range and comparing it to the B2, to the thing that is right here, this company right now. And if I go here, we're comparing this range and this range to the company that is here. Okay, thank you so much. We just now completed our functions and you already have so much knowledge. Tell me, what would you like to do next? What would you like to learn next? What should I cover? How can I make this easier for you? Because trust me, my friend, and I tell you this as a data analyst with years of experience now, it is worth it. Learn Excel, learn it now, and do tell me in the comment below what's next. What's next for you? Thank you so much. Consider subscribing. See you in the next video.